Is it Thursday already? Wow, 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 wow. We are almost done with yet another insane news week for Star Wars as The Bad Batch dropped this last Monday, and this trailer was absolutely incredible. Did I say The Bad Batch dropped? I meant The Bad Batch trailer dropped. You guys know what I'm talking about. And of course, that trailer broke the internet as Asajj Ventress is back from the dead, and Palpatine was in it, and Cad Bane was in it, and Fennec Shand was in it, and Captain Rex was in it, and oh my goodness, was that trailer so good. So we're going to be speculating about the Bad Batch season itself today. We're going to be talking about the Rey movie too, as Daisy Ridley said some crazy stuff about that movie as well. And we got some other fun, cool little things to get into. So without further ado, what's up guys? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. So we got a lot to talk about today. A lot. That Bad Batch trailer, we're going to watch it again just to get hyped up and see if we missed any specific details in there. And then we're going to talk about who's going to die and who's going to survive the Bad Batch Season 3. This is the final season for these characters, and I don't think many of them are going to come out alive. We'll put it that way. I just don't think that many of them are going to be coming out alive. So, with that being said, how's it going, chat? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? How we doing, chat? Let me pull up the chat so I can see what you guys are saying. What's up, Skywalker Academy says no one's ever really gone. That's true. Maggie, what's up? Ian, what's up? It's me. What's up? All right. Ian says all of them. Vader's going to come in and slaughter the clones, the clone uprising, and attack on Mount Tantus. In the attack on Mount Tantus. That's always kind of been my sort of theory as well, is they're all going to line up and Vader's going to chop all their heads off, but that was kind of a joke. Could that actually happen? I don't know. But I do believe that a lot of the Bad Batch members, from Hunter to Wrecker to Echo to Tech, if he does actually come back, to Crosshair to Omega, a lot of them are going to not survive this final season. And I'm going to tell you why I think certain characters will and won't survive and what we think is really going on here. I also have this crazy video that's coming out maybe tomorrow. If not, it will probably drop over the weekend. And that's about Omega being Force sensitive. So, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. So we'll talk about that as well as we get into this. So, yeah, let's start up a poll right away with this question here. Do you think any of the Bad Batch will survive? Do you think any of them, from Hunter to Wrecker to Tech to Omega to any of them, to Echo, do you think any of them will survive this season? Because let's be honest, they're not in anything else. They're not in Kenobi, they're not in Andor, they're not in Rebels, they're not in the original trilogy, they're not in the Mandoverse, they're not in anything. So if they are going to survive this season, they're going to have to be either hidden pretty damn well, or there's going to have to be some explanation as to how they aren't involved in anything else going around the galaxy. Yeah. It's me says, let's start off with the Rey movie. We'll get to the Rey movie next. We're starting off with the Bad Batch today. We'll get to the Rey movie after that. Michael, what's up? Michael says, how's everyone doing? I'm doing good, Michael. And great name, by the way. Alexandro says, hello. What's up, Alexandro? Skywalker Academy says, I'm excited to do the job. Oh, this is what Daisy Ridley said, I'm excited to do the job, not because Charmin is a woman. Her documentaries are amazing, and her idea. Good? Are we frozen? Earth to the world. Are we good? What happened? Are we good? Hello? Are we alive? Are we alive? I think we're good. Somebody show me some life in the chat, please. Are we good? I'm just gonna keep going. Let's just keep going, I guess. Did I freeze? Am I good? Are we frozen? Oh, there was somebody. Okay, we're good now. Okay. Ian says, I mean, it's Disney. They're not going to kill Omega or let Palpatine subject her to dark side experiments. I don't know. I'm actually rewatching Bad Batch all the way through. I'm on season 1, episode 7, I think. So I'm getting there, but it's a lot darker than I remember. A lot of people die in this show, and it's actually pretty cool. When Fennec Shand shows up in, I think, like episode 5 or 6, early on, actually, in the season, she kills a lot of people in that episode. So I don't know if they're not going to kill her just because it's Disney. They're definitely going to actually make the story right. Alexandro says, I'm at the mall watching this right now. That's pretty cool. I am not at the mall currently streaming this. General Mike Obi. I like it. Anthony says, hi, Mike. Since the end of season 1, my suspected survivors have always been Hunter and Omega, with the two living as uncle and niece. However, it might be Omega and Fee. I don't really see Fee as a main character, so her living or dying, I honestly could not care in the slightest. So it's more about the main Bad Batch characters. And honestly, I don't think many of them, if any, are going to survive. But we'll get into that. Maggie says, I hope they join the Rebels. Well, that's kind of problematic because they're not in the Rebels show. If they joined the Rebels, then they probably would be in the Rebels show. And I understand that the Rebels show was created before the Bad Batch were even a thing, but it still has to be consistent with the story. And they're not involved in the Rebels all 4 seasons. They're not in it at all. We do see other clones like Wolf and Gregor and Rex, but we don't see the Bad Batch. Zap says, one has to survive. They aren't going to leave Omega alone. I don't know. I got a crazy theory, and I am very intrigued to see what you guys think about it. But before we get into my theory, let's watch the trailer back again. Let's just get hyped up for the Bad Batch really quickly because this trailer is amazing. Okay? So let's watch it. Hang on. I got to fix my screen over here. That lag really got me going. I thought we were going to have to cancel the stream. I thought we were going to have to restart the stream, and I would have been, no. But we fixed it. Okay, so let's watch this trailer. Let's get back on track here.
Hold on! We've got troopers up top. We're running out of road!
Not exactly a stealth exit, boys.
Let's move!
Is it just me, or does Fee sound exactly like Sid?
Not exactly a stealth exit, boys.
Let's move!
Of course, we know Crosshair was in that scene.
I thought that the end of the war would mean an end to losing more of our brothers. But I was wrong. We can't just walk away. Not with the Empire imprisoning the kid.
He looks rough.
Secure her in a cell. Omega's been waiting for us a long time. Our mission is not over yet.
There is nothing of greater importance to secure the future of this empire.
Nothing more important.
Whatever is needed to accomplish this goal, you will have it.
They are coming. For all of you. Give us a real challenge.
One, left, fight!
Everyone, down! We're not big on following orders.
I wasn't planning on killing you, but you're making it very tempting.
3-episode premiere on February 21st. Final season, 3-episode premiere. 3-episode premiere on February 21st. So a few key details that we haven't really talked about too much in this trailer is when it says one last fight here, it makes us think that Hunter is fighting Wrecker, and I actually think that they could allow this to happen in some sort of way. So that's Hunter. He's pulling out his knife, and his facial expression, he really looks like he's conflicted with the fight he's about to fight. In the next scene here, and it looks like they're in the same location, is Wrecker, and he's about to fight. So it looks like they're pinning the two against each other. Now, maybe they get into a fight of like, should we go save them? Should we not go save them? Or something. I don't really know what the fight will be about, but I do think that this is actually going to happen. Oops. So you got Hunter looking all concerned here. as he's pulling out his knife. And then Wrecker ready to fight. So I do think that those two are going to be pinned against each other. But if you go back to the beginning of the trailer, we see, for a brief second...
They've got troopers up
So that's Hunter and Wrecker. We know that.
top. We're running out of road!
Not exactly a stealth exit, boys.
But right there is now Hunter and Crosshair. So there's a lot of sort of jumbling up of scenes, misleading us with this trailer, what's going on when, and all this other stuff. So Crosshair is clearly back with the Bad Batch members of Wrecker and Hunter very soon on, at least in the season, as we are believed to see, because usually with trailers we don't see too far into the season. These are probably the first 5 or 6 episodes in this trailer. So at some point very early on in the season, Crosshair is going to end up back with the Bad Batch very, very soon on. And we actually see him again later right here, where you can see Wrecker and Hunter, but you can also see Crosshair's gun
Follow.
right there. So this is Crosshair on his side here. So again, Crosshair's coming home within the first 6 episodes, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, the big reveal at the end is Asajj Ventress. So we'll talk about all that really in just a bit. But I got to give you guys my theory on this. First of all, trailer's incredible. Without a doubt, it's absolutely insane. Did I notice Fennec Shand on the boat? Fennec Shand on the boat? What are you referring to? Did I notice Fennec Shand? Yes. But on a boat? I don't know. What boat? Where's Fennec? On a boat? Fennec Shand. Fennec Shand. Where are you at? Nope, nope, nope. Okay. There's Fennec. Is she on a boat? I don't know. Oh, wait. Is that a boat? You might be right. Is that water behind her? Or is that just like a hollow screen or something? I don't know. All right. Let's get into my theory here, okay? So my theory, which I'm making a full-on video, is when hunters get pulled into the water. When Hunter gets pulled into the water? Wait, Fennec is there? Hang on. So this is when Hunter's getting pulled into the water by this alligator thing. Oh my, wait, what? Oh my god, Fennec's right there. Is that Fennec Shand? Hang on. I think it is. I think it might just be. Hang on, you guys can't really see that, huh? Let's see. Is that Fennec Shand right there? It's the back side of her helmet, because we're looking at her from behind here. It's very orange. Is the back side of Fennec's helmet orange like that? Interesting. That's a good that's a really good catch. That's a really good catch. I don't know. It looks like it. It definitely looks like Fennec from right there. That's a great catch. That is a great catch. Okay, so the trailer's incredible. It does. It's incredible. It's absolutely fantastic. But my theory here, and you guys can tell me if it's a good one or not. We've talked about it in the past, and I know you guys are going to go, Omega is Force sensitive. Now hear me out, okay? Don't click away. Don't, whoa. Omega is Force sensitive. And hear me out. So I'm rewatching The Bad Batch, right? And in the very first episode, there is 3 instances in which we are led to believe that Omega has some sort of ability that resembles the Force, okay? In one of the first scenes with Omega, the Bad Batch have gone on a mission for Tarkin. Unsubscribed. Thanks, Skywalker Academy. The Bad Batch have gone on a mission to go kill Saw Gerrera. They don't know that they're going to kill Saw Gerrera at the time. Tarkin has sent them on this mission to see if they're loyal to the Empire. They end up not being loyal to the Empire, and that leads us onto the conflict. But during that mission, Omega and the little droid guy, what's his name? Somebody help me out. What's the flying droid on Kamino? His name? The two of them go into the Bad Batch's room on Kamino. and it's a mess, and Omega's like, I love this place, blah, blah, blah. Then she senses clone troopers coming before they're there. She's like, we got to get out of here. Just looks at the door, senses their presence coming in. And then moments later, they arrive. She didn't hear them because the droid didn't hear them, and she can't possibly hear them through the door. She senses them coming. That's only the first instance. Then, later on, AZ. Yes, thank you guys. AZ. Then, later on, when Crosshair has been brainwashed more and now is evil, and the Bad Batch are back on Kamino and trying to escape as they got captured, and now they're trying to escape, and they're in the hangar bay, and the hangar bay door is closed, and they're about to escape. They're putting on their armor, and Omega says something. They say something about Crosshair, and then Omega says, well, he's right there, or something. She says something along those lines, like, he's coming right now, even though she has no idea that he's coming. The door is still closed. She has no way of knowing that hundreds of feet away is Crosshair behind that door. She has no way of knowing that, except for the fact that she can sense it through the Force. Then the door opens. Crosshair's there with an army of clone troopers. She sensed his presence. Fast forward only a few scenes later, when they're in a firefight in the same hangar bay between Crosshair and the Bad Batch, Crosshair's about to kill Hunter or somebody, shoot Hunter in the head, and Omega shoots the gun out of Crosshair's hand. Omega's never touched a blaster in her entire life. And she just absolutely snipes this shot out of Crosshair's hand. They escape. They're like, oh my god, what a lucky shot. You must be really good with a blaster. She's like, nope, never picked one up in my life. In my life. And that's just the first episode. I've been watching, and there is piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. Every episode, they're teasing this out more and more and more. If you go back and watch The Bad Batch, and with the thought of they're trying to show us that Omega is Force sensitive, you'll see so many just seeds planted here and there all over the place. And then you fast forward to season 2, which I haven't rewatched yet. But you remember, season 2, the Gungi episode. I believe it's episode 6 of season 2. Episode 6 of season 2 is the Gungi episode. The Wookiee Jedi who was a youngling at the Jedi Temple. He is crying out for help on this prison transport that the Bad Batch are there trying to do something else. I forget what they're there for in the first place. But Omega hears him crying out for help. Like, she can't possibly actually hear that. She's hearing that in her head. And then as she gets closer, she does actually hear him physically call out for help. And then towards the end of the episode, we get this actual first interaction between Omega and a real Force user in Gungi. And then at the end of the episode, the two meditate together on Kashyyyk at the base of a tree. And this might just be the first sort of instance as Omega's really figuring out what the Force is. And she's really just trusting her instincts right now, which, if you guys remember, is what a Force sensitive who isn't trained is supposed to do. Qui-Gon in The Phantom Menace tells Anakin to trust his instincts in the pod race. Anakin has no Force training, but he has Force abilities. So he trusts his instincts in the pod race, and he eventually wins. Also, you see this with Luke Skywalker. When Obi-Wan dies to become a Force ghost, because he's more powerful that way, being able to help Luke. When Luke is trying to gun down the Death Star, he's going to use the technology to do so, and Obi-Wan says, no, Luke, use the Force, and he trusts his instincts, and he uses the Force to shoot the bullet down, destroying the Death Star, saving the day. It's a 1 in a million shot. No, it's not. Just like Omega's shot versus Crosshair, it was not luck. It was not 1 in a million. This is because she is Force sensitive. Okay? So I'm working on a full-on video about this. I'm breaking it down perfectly, piece by piece by piece, layer on layer on layer, and there's no denying, by the time you've watched this video, and maybe by the time I've ended this rant, that you don't think that she is a Force sensitive, because it is so much evidence that it can pretty much just not be negated at all. Like, it is too much evidence to just deny the inevitable. She will be a Force sensitive. And why this is so important, why Omega being Force sensitive is so important, is because the clone Bad Batch, there was 5 genetically altered clones. 5. Those 5 are Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, Tech, and Omega. Not Echo. Echo was a regular clone who got tortured. It's Omega. So she's the 5th one. Meaning, Hunter's got the tracking powers. Wrecker's got the strength, of course. Tech has got the minds. Crosshair's got the guns. And Omega's got the Force. She's also an unaltered clone of Jango Fett. She has no accelerated aging. Palpatine has always been of the mind of trying to live forever, trying to create clones so that he can live forever. It's been the mission from day one at the beginning of the prequel trilogy all the way to the end in episode 9 of Rise of Skywalker. He's been trying to live forever. He's been trying to clone forever, and that's what his whole thing has been. Why would he not be trying to clone a Force sensitive on Kamino? They used Sifo Dyas to create the clone army. Palpatine used him to do that. Sifo Dyas dies on purpose. He dies. He gets assassinated by Palpatine indirectly. And now Palpatine's in charge of the clone army. You're telling me he's not going to at least try to create a Force-sensitive clone? And I think Omega is that clone. Now, here's where I think this becomes actually a very important piece to the story. Is in this 3rd season. This 3rd season of The Bad Batch is going to see Asajj Ventress's return. And with Asajj Ventress, we are most likely going to see Quinlan Vos. Quinlan Vos and Asajj fall in love after the Clone Wars. At the end of the Clone Wars, still in the Clone Wars. But they fall in love, and they both survive Order 66. Now, Quinlan, we know, at least by the time of the Kenobi show, is still alive, and the Kenobi show takes place like about 8 or 9 years after the events of the Bad Batch. So, if, in fact, Omega does survive, now this takes us to who's going to survive the Bad Batch Season 3. So I think a lot, if not all, of the members of the Bad Batch are going to die, except for Omega. I think Hunter's going to die. I think Wrecker's going to die. I think Crosshair's going to die. I think Tech is going to remain dead. I think they're all going to die. We know that Rex survives. We know that Wolf survives. We know that Gregor survives. And that's about it. Now, I think that they're not going to just bring back Asajj Ventress just to kill her off again. I know I mentioned that possibly being a possibility in my Asajj Ventress video, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think her and Quinlan are going to survive a lot longer, but I don't think they're coming out empty-handed. I think the end of the Bad Batch Season 3 will see the death of Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair. But I think Omega will leave with Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos to learn how to wield the Force. She is a Force sensitive. She's going to train underneath a former Sith turned Jedi, Asajj Ventress, and a Jedi turned Sith turned Jedi, Quinlan Vos. And she's going to learn the abilities of the Force. This will make perfect sense as to why Omega's not in Kenobi, Rebels, Original Trilogy, Mando, because guess what? Asajj Ventress and Qui-Gon are also not in Kenobi, Rebels, the Original Trilogy, or The Mandalorian. So wherever they are, Omega is too. And wherever all three of them are, has nothing to do with the greater galaxy right now. So, my theory, as it stands, is the Bad Batch dies except for Omega. And Asajj Ventress and Quinlan return, and they end up taking Omega under their wings and training her in the ways of the Force because Omega is Force sensitive, which has been teased out since the very first episode of The Bad Batch. That's my theory. Tell me what you think, because I think it's a whole lot, and we really got to iron out the details here and talk about this amongst ourselves here. I'm still working on this video, so I definitely want your guys' input on what we think's going on. You guys have more instances of where you thought, oh, maybe Omega is Force sensitive, or what do you think is going to happen with Asajj Ventress? Do you think we'll see Quinlan in this third season? And do you think Omega will survive this third season? And if so, do you think the Bad Batch other members, like Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair, are going to survive as well? What do we think? Who's going to survive? Who's going to die? What's going on in the Bad Batch Season 3? All right. Let me read some chat as I just went on that crazy rant. Let's see. Where were we? Where were we? Jeez, you guys have typed a lot. I appreciate it. Hang on. I got to scroll up to get to where we were here. Zap says, one has to survive. They aren't going to leave Omega alone. So you're saying one of the Bad Batch members has to survive to keep Omega safe? Well, what if the person keeping Omega safe is actually Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss? Michael says, the girl will survive. I think she will. I think she will. Alexandro says, hopefully nobody dies. Yeah, well, that's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. There's no way that we walk out of this third season with everything just being A-okay. We're going to see some death in this season for sure. Michael says, was it wait, what? I'm confused. Did I freeze? Oh, we fixed that. Okay. Fearless, what's up? Says, I rewatched it today. I finished Rebels and started watching Ahsoka. And I'm waiting for the Bad Batch Season 3. That's awesome. Ian says, I've only watched the trailer 20 times, so why not watch it again? There you go. I've seen this trailer a million times too. Did I see Crosshair? I did see Crosshair. I'm looking forward to another season of Ahsoka too. Yeah, the second season of Ahsoka is going to be incredible for sure. Maggie says, didn't they say there was more than one group of rebels? Maybe they joined a different one than the one that the rebels in the Rebels show. That's possible. Yeah, there's different different branches of rebels. In season 4 of Rebels, we kind of see a lot of the rebellion come together. They're finally starting to form as one rebellion instead of different just pods of rebels. But I could definitely see it being like Omega might be involved in a different group of rebels, but I don't think the whole group are going to survive. You know? Yeah, no? They're actually fighting a CX version of Tech. Yeah, I have heard that theory, yeah. Trailers are definitely misleading. Misdirection is the way of Lucasfilm. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of misdirection in that Bad Batch trailer too. Just the crosshair scenes and the Asajj Ventress made to look like she's fighting against Hunter and Wrecker, when I actually think she's going to be a good guy in this series because she has turned to the light side since we've last seen her. Reminds me of Obi-Wan going after General Grievous in Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, kind of. Star Wars 4 Life says, when Hunter gets pulled into the water, we saw that was a great pick. That was a great find. My hope has been that Omega has been that she becomes a war strategist for the Rebel Alliance. Maybe she is one of the squad attack solists during the Battle of Endor. By the way, Tech equals Dark Trooper. I don't know. Tech surviving, I think, is just a bad move. Unless he is like unrecognizable and now evil, I think there's really no way to get around it. Yeah. Michael says, when you're on the side of the when they're on the side of the mountain. What mountain? What are you talking about? What if they team up because Fennec was kind of bonding with Omega? Yeah, so the last episode, let me pull this up actually. So on StarWars.com, when they released the trailer for the Bad Batch, they also released, come on, where's StarWars.com? StarWars.com. They also released, okay, why be this way? All right, found it. They also released this, every title and every release date for every episode of the Bad Batch. And what we noticed was, when we went over this last stream, was that it's only 15 episodes instead of the 16 from the first 2 seasons, but we know that that's probably a secret 16th episode because this is May 1st. That would mean 3 days later is May the 4th, and I think a secret in quotations, secret 16th episode will be coming out on May the 4th, but episode 15 is called The Cavalry Has Arrived. And somebody pointed out that The Cavalry Has Arrived is the first line of any of the Bad Batch members in Star Wars. Wrecker says it in Clone Wars Season 7 when the Bad Batch are first introduced. It's the first line of any of them. Is Wrecker, he takes off his helmet and he says, "The cavalry has arrived." And that's the first line. But I actually think in this instance is the cavalry is referring to the Bad Batch, Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, Omega. But it's also referring to probably characters like Fennec, like Asajj Ventress, maybe Quinlan, maybe Rex, maybe Wolf, maybe Fee, all these people who've been throughout the first 2 seasons that come together to help fight. Somebody mentioned it in the chat last time, like the end of Star Wars Rebels. In Season 4, for the Battle of Lothal, you get Hondo Ohnaka come in, and Gregor and Wolf and Rex come in, and all the people who have kind of been helping out the Bad Batch, the Rebels through the years, have come in to help them fight for their planet of Lothal. So I think in a very similar way, we will see that to go help Omega in this finale for the Bad Batch. I think a lot of people will come and help, and maybe Fennec Shand is one of them. That's definitely possible. So the cavalry has arrived, I think is referring to a lot of friendly faces that we are going to see help save Omega. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. And I actually think a lot of them will die. We know, of course, Fennec won't, but a lot may die. Ian says, I thought she would be Force sensitive for a while now. Otherwise, why would she be of so much interest? Well, there is a lot of reason as to why she would be of a lot of interest. She is an unaltered clone. She is the only person remaining now that Jango Fett's head has been chopped off. Actually, I guess Boba Fett is too, but Boba and Omega are the only 2 remaining of that Jango Fett gene, the gene to have the ability to clone more people. And if she is Force sensitive, then she's way more important than Boba Fett's gene, because she is a successful Force sensitive clone. The first ever Force sensitive clone. Because we've seen Moff Gideon get Force sensitive clones, but that was way, way later. Of course, my clones. Yeah. Michael says, or maybe Omega will have some senses like Ahsoka in Ahsoka. You mean like the Force? I'm confused. Fearless says, but we never saw a hint of Force sensitivity with Omega. Yes, you do. You see it quite a bit if you rewatch the first 2 seasons of The Bad Batch. Now, she is, of course, untrained. Literally, like you noticed, she's never left Kamino in her life. She's never picked up a blaster in her life. She's never really done anything. She's just been in a lab her entire life. So she has no experience with the Force, the same way that Anakin didn't in The Phantom Menace. Anakin's not going around Force pushing stuff in The Phantom Menace or anything. He has to go get trained first. And that's sort of the baseline where Omega is too. Omega is where Anakin was in The Phantom Menace right now. Now, I'm not saying Omega's as powerful as Anakin Skywalker, but I'm saying that she is most likely Force sensitive. Anthony says, I had a feeling since Season 1 that Fennec's interactions with Omega would parallel hers with Grogu. Would parallel whose with Grogu? Omega's with Grogu? I'm confused. Oh yeah, and that's another theory that has come up throughout all this. It's possible that Asajj Ventress and Quinlan, or even Omega, could be one of the people who ends up with Grogu after Kelleran Beck escapes Order 66 with him. So Kelleran Beck, of course, saved Grogu from the Jedi Temple. We see this in The Mandalorian Season 3. But he goes in a Naboo starfighter. We assume he's going to Naboo. But Kelleran is not with Grogu when we first see Grogu in The Mandalorian Season 1. Grogu's with a bunch of pirates. So from Order 66 all the way to The Mandalorian, which is a long time, I believe like 20 to 30 years in between the two, Grogu goes through a lot of people, I'm sure. He doesn't just go from Kelleran Beck to pirates. So I'm sure at some point he goes through somebody important, possibly Asajj Ventress, possibly Quinlan Vos, possibly Omega, which would be awesome. And I'd love to see that. I, without a doubt in my mind, am 99.999% sure now that Tales of the Jedi Season 2 will focus, at least one of the characters will focus on Asajj Ventress because of her return in The Bad Batch Season 3, because of the fact that she survived the events of the Dark Disciple novel, and they have to explain that. So I think Tales of the Jedi Season 2 will focus heavily, at least one side of the character arc, on Asajj Ventress. Now, who the other one is, I don't know, but Asajj will definitely be one of them. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, she sensed Crosshair coming from down the hall. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Maggie says, wouldn't they just need to clone a Jedi for Omega to be Force sensitive? No. That's not really how cloning works, because they've been trying to clone Palpatine for so long and it didn't work, because just because you're cloning a Force sensitive doesn't mean that the clones that you're creating will be Force sensitive. Now maybe it helps, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. Yeah. Zap says, no, everyone has the Force, but apparently she's good at it. Now that Mike mentioned it. Yes, so everybody technically has the Force running through them. That's what George Lucas has always said. The Force lives through all things. It's just the ability that people have to tap into it is different. The midichlorian count is different. And of course, your training is dependent on whether or not you'll be very powerful with the Force or not. But there is no denying that some people, like Anakin Skywalker, are going to be more powerful with the Force regardless of how much you train. Obi-Wan trained his entire life, and he was never going to be more powerful than Anakin. But Anakin was just had a higher midichlorian count. He was just more gifted with the Force in general. So there is a sort of scale to the whole thing. But yes, the Force does flow through everyone. Michael says, maybe, but it could be someone with hidden Force abilities. Who? Omega? I'm confused. Skywalker Academy says, Jango Fett could possibly be a descendant of a Jedi. He is a foundling. That's true, but again, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if he is, because that doesn't 100% guarantee that Omega is going to be a Force sensitive. And if that were the case, if Jango Fett was a Force sensitive and it worked that if you cloned him, then it would be Force sensitive, then there would be a whole army of cloned Force sensitives. But that's not what happened. Yeah. And also, like, Padme wasn't Force sensitive. Now, yes, Anakin was, but Padme wasn't, and her kids are. And Obi-Wan's parents weren't Force sensitive as far as we know, but he was. So it's not like a gene thing or a generational thing. It's just something that just so happens. Yeah. Ian says, as Sheev has discovered in The Rise of Skywalker, cloning Force sensitives is very difficult. It is very difficult. We know that for a fact. So Omega being created was probably an accident. I'm sure they tried, but it probably was an accident that she became Force sensitive. Now, something went on with Grogu's blood in The Mandalorian to create a whole army of Moff Gideon Force sensitives, and that still needs to be explored more, but we'll see. Zap says, but Omega's creator is one of the best cloners. I forget her name. Yeah, I think it's Nala Se. Oh, yeah, Skywalker Academy just said it right there. It's Nala Se. She is the Kaminoan scientist, and she is probably one of the greatest scientists in the whole galaxy. That's what the Kaminoans have been known for, is their cloning ability. Michael says, I think Padme might have been Force sensitive. Her reflexes look incredible in Attack of the Clones in the factory scene. I doubt it. If she was, she had nothing going on with that, but I doubt it. Felix says, or maybe that's where Grogu comes in. They extract his blood. If they were able to separate the midichlorians and put them into clones to become Force sensitives. Well, here's the thing. They did, like, Dr. Pershing is a genius because he somehow figured out a way to take Grogu's blood and create a Force sensitive clone from it. And nobody else has been able to do that. Even the Kaminoan scientists weren't able to do that, as far as we know. So I think Dr. Pershing was the guy who broke through in the whole cloning Force sensitive field, and now his brain has been wiped. So who knows if he even remembers how to do it? That's the problem. Skywalker Academy says Taun Wei is the one who introduced Obi-Wan to Jango, and she is the messenger that dies bringing the money to trade for the asset Omega. Yeah, so she wasn't the scientist. Nala Se is the scientist. That was just a messenger. What's up, Tony? Anthony says, wait, what? My suspicion has always been Omega is a uniquely enhanced clone, able to procreate offspring that will have advanced intelligence, physical, and tactical skills regardless of her partner. I thought that at first. I thought that Omega was just going to be a combination of all these different Bad Batch members' skills, from Crosshair's ability to shoot, to Hunter's ability to track things, to Tech's smarts, to Wrecker's strength. And we don't see really much of that. We get glimpses of her trying to copy Hunter, but that's not really her having the ability to do what Hunter does. So I've gone completely away from that theory, and I do just think that she's Force sensitive. Ian says Boba isn't Force sensitive. No, he's not. No, he is not. He most definitely is not. No. Star Wars for Life just says, just subscribed. Well, I appreciate that, Star Wars for Life. I'm surprised you weren't subscribed already. What the? Just kidding. Maggie says, good theory. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Michael says, Palpatine used Force lightning so much that it destroyed his body. Not in a good way. Wait, not a good way to live forever. Yeah, but he did that to himself on purpose. He did that so that Anakin would stop Mace Windu from killing him. And, of course, he had to convince the galaxy that there was an attempt on his life. The attempt on my life has left me scarred. He had to look like he was attacked by Jedi, and that's what happened. Skywalker Academy says, I have little memory. I have a little theory about Sifo Dyas. Dooku probably left him on Kamino for Nala Se to experiment on Jedi DNA. I'm not sure if one of the Clone Wars episodes ruins that theory, though. I don't think so. It's a pretty good theory, actually, because we don't really know what happens to Sifo Dyas after he dies. His death is sort of a conspiracy type thing. Like, he's supposed to have crashed onto a planet, and he dies in the crash. But Palpatine and Dooku orchestrated that whole thing. So it's possible that that could be the case. It's a good theory. Chris says, I just watched The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, final trailer, sorry. It looks dope. Yeah, The Ones Who Lives is the one with Rick coming back. I have been off of The Walking Dead for years, so I could not even tell you what's going on. But I have watched the trailer, and it actually does look pretty good. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that. Anthony says, Mike, remember this. The ruler of Kamino stated that Omega was the next stage in creating the ultimate clone soldier. I don't think the Force is part of that, though. Oh, the Force is most definitely part of that. Most definitely. The whole goal of Palpatine's cloning goals, at least, his cloning plans, were to create Force-sensitive clones, to have an army. And that's always been his goal. So if the ultimate clone soldier is supposed to be Omega, then it's probably going to be that Omega is Force sensitive. Yeah. They're on Jakku training Rey. Oh, yeah, no. Omega trained Rey? No, definitely not. Definitely not. Star Wars for Life says, I think it would be too dark to kill off a kid. Well, I definitely think that Omega will survive this season. I do. But where she shows up next is a big deal. Because a lot of people want her to meet Boba Fett, so that would mean that she would have to come into live action in The Mandalorian. She'd be a lot older now. That would be kind of cool. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But where was she between The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian? If she does show up in The Mandalorian time period, where was she? There needs to be an explanation to that, and I think the best bet right now is that she went off with Asajj Ventress and trained with the Force. It would be awesome. It would add another Force user, but it would be awesome. Yeah. Michael says, I've always been ashamed about Anakin Skywalker. It's always been a shame about Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. But if he had not, that he might have been stronger and been able to live forever. Yes, obviously, Anakin burning alive on Mustafar and his legs being cut off and his arm being cut off, a lot of that led to him being a lot less powerful. Obi-Wan made him a lot less powerful because he put him in the suit, and the suit had restrictions to it. But of course, burning alive and all that other stuff is going to do some damage. So yeah, Anakin would have been a lot stronger had he survived, or at least had he not been burned alive. Fearless says, I hope Hunter doesn't die. Maybe Crosshair will survive and take care of Omega. I don't think Crosshair is going to survive. I think Crosshair is going to end his sort of arc back to the light and sacrifice himself maybe to save Omega or something along those lines. I definitely think Crosshair is a surefire death in this third season. It's really a question of Wrecker and Hunter to me, because I think Tech's going to come back and he's going to be evil, or he's going to remain dead. Crosshair's definitely going to sacrifice himself to save Omega or save the rest of the Bad Batch to kind of complete his arc in redemption. But Hunter and Wrecker are a big question mark for me because I think Omega will survive. But Hunter, I don't know. I really don't. I think Wrecker could get a pretty good death in this third season. But Hunter's the big question mark for me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Zap says, do you know if it is true? Wait, do you know if this is true? I've heard this from another YouTuber a while back. Quote, the dark side deforms the user's body over time. And the lightning exposed Palpatine's true form of him looking like a monster. Or was that just the lightning? Because Luke didn't get deformed, maybe because he embodied the light side of the Force. I don't think so. I don't think the dark side makes you look like Palpatine. I don't think that's the case because other dark side users in the past, although a lot of them do look pretty disheveled and in disarray. I mean, you look at Malgus, you look at even Vader, who eventually becomes a Sith. But then you have examples like Maul, who doesn't look any broken or anything like that. Maul, although he got cut in half, but that doesn't have anything to do with his physical appearance, except for the fact that his legs don't exist. And Dooku or Asajj Ventress, or there's plenty of examples of Sith that don't look like Palpatine looks. I don't think that's the case. I think that was maybe just somebody's theory or something. I don't know. I don't think so. Zap says, it's like a rat in the dark box. You can't learn anything new in the box. You need to be able to move around and run. You're saying that she needs to gain more Force sensitivity as soon... You say that she's gaining more sensitivity when she gets off of Kamino. Kind of. I think when she's on Kamino, she has no ability to train with the Force. So when she's on Kamino and she's just in a lab, she doesn't even know that she has the Force, but she's showing signs of Force sensitivity, being a Force user. Without training, she's never going to be able to wield the Force. So she's going to have to go through training first. I don't think in Season 3 she's going to use the Force. I don't think she's going to Force push anybody. I don't think she's going to Force pull anything. I don't think that's going to happen. I think at the end of this season, they're going to realize that she is Force sensitive due to some other circumstances, whatever it may be. And Asajj and Quinlan are going to take her under their wing as a Padawan type thing. Yeah. Keto says Grogu could be at Mount Tantus during Season 3. That's also could be the case. We know that Kelleran Beck escapes with Grogu, but we don't know how long he remains with Grogu. It's possible that the Empire does capture Grogu eventually, and he arrives on Mount Tantus. It's a pretty good theory. I think it's less likely now that we know that Kelleran saved him, so he's in good hands for now. But you never know. The Empire could have gotten him, for sure. No, that does not mean that Boba Fett is Force sensitive. No. Anthony says, it would be insanely poetically ironic if Grogu ends up being rescued/protected in some way by the likes of Ventress and Quinlan Vos years before meeting Din Djarin. Yeah, it would. And it would also make Ventress even more of a cool character, honestly. She's already, just that awesome. She'd be even more awesome. It'd be pretty ironic. Ventress saving Yoda's baby. Yeah, or at least along the way. True. Yoda Joe, what's up? Yoda Joe says, what's going on? Mike, I'm in your stream now. Well, thanks for being here. Boba isn't Force sensitive. No, he's not. I like your theory, Mike. Count me in. Thanks, Tony. Skywalker Academy says, the discussion of the chat at about 16 after the hour... Wait, what? The discussion of the chat at about 16 after the hour 35 minutes into the stream about Grogu's parallels with Omega made me think that we were going to end up at Mount Tantus on Wayland. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. Possibly something happened to Mount Tantus as they're still trying to work it out in The Mandalorian 25 years later. I think Mount Tantus, after the Empire falls, is going to turn into some sort of abandoned facility. And I think Thrawn is going to arrive on Mount Tantus in live action and do some cloning stuff there. I think we will see a cloned version of Luke Skywalker in live action. I mean, it would be so damn cool. And I think, especially if we're going down the Heir to the Empire route, why not? Why not? Really though, why not? Geez, if they connect Baby Yoda or Grogu to this show, then it would be great. They're definitely connecting the Bad Batch to the Mandalorian through Mount Tantus. So through Palpatine's struggles to create clones, and of course Mount Tantus, I have to remind you guys, the most important line in that Bad Batch Season 3 trailer is when Palpatine says something along the lines of, what we're doing on Mount Tantus is the most important thing to secure the future of the Empire. And that's important because Palpatine is referring to the future of not just now, but after he even dies, because he wants to, of course, live forever, clone himself and all that stuff. But he always has the contingency plan of if he does die. And Thrawn, of course, coming in as heir to the Empire, Mount Tantus is going to play a big role into that. And the Bad Batch is going to set that up. The Bad Batch is going to set all this up. Yeah. Yes, Skywalker Academy, Luke Skywalker. Yes. Fearless says Dr. Pershing probably had a bunch of notes regarding his work. Somebody could get them and try to recreate his Force-sensitive clones, maybe more or less successfully. Yeah, at some point Snoke gets created. So the Force-sensitive cloning works, and Snoke is created. Snoke is his own being. He's his own living entity. He just rules over the galaxy for Palpatine. Well, he can't. So Snoke is his own thing. So whenever they clone him will be extremely important in the timeline. Yeah. Anthony says, that would be screwy as hell if both Grogu and Omega ended up on Mount Tantus. However, with Thrawn probably finding and locating there in some way, this could be the case. Yeah, it's possible that a lot of cloning stuff is going to be successful because of what happens in this third season on Mount Tantus. So Snoke's creation, Moff Gideon's clone's creation, a lot of that is going to be because of the work that is done on Mount Tantus with Omega in this third season. And that's why it's going to be so important. Like I said before, I didn't think that the first 2 seasons of The Bad Batch were important to the greater story of Star Wars. I just didn't. It didn't seem important enough. But now, with this third season connecting to cloning and possibly connecting to Thrawn and the Mandalorian and Grogu, like, now we're talking. Now we're connecting to other things in the Star Wars galaxy. Yeah. Ian says, Sifo Dyas was cremated on Felucia. Really? I did not know that. Nah, he was alive in the Kenobi show time frame. Who was? Oh, Quinlan. Yes, he was. Officer Murdoch, what's up, says, did I miss something? Omega is older than the rest of the Bad Batch. Why does she still look like a kid? Or will she stay like a kid forever? Accelerated aging, Murdoch. So all the clones, when they're born, have accelerated aging built into their genes so that they are able to fight in a war very, very soon. So that they don't have to wait 20 years so that they can fight in the war. They have to churn out clones very quickly. So they have accelerated aging in their blood. Omega does not. So she is aging at the same rate as a normal human would age. And that's why she's so much older and younger at the same time than them. Yeah. But I think she's the same age as the other Bad Batch members, but I could be wrong. Ian says, it was Quinlan Vos who was mentioned in Kenobi. Yeah, he was. With the path. Yeah. Yoda Joe says, I think it is only a matter of time before she shows up in live action. She's a popular character. I predict that if we have gotten the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, she would have appeared. But I think now that it could be in the Mandoverse somewhere else. Yeah, I think Omega will come to live action at some point. She's become a very important character, especially throughout 3 seasons of The Bad Batch, and I think we're going to see a very similar thing probably in the Mandoverse where we get to see Omega in live action. This is definitely not the last we're going to be seeing of her character. I just thought, like, what if she dies in this 3rd season and then somebody clips what I just said? There's definitely, like, this is definitely not the last we see of this character, and then it cuts to her dying in season 3. That would be a disaster. A lot of this stream right now, these predictions, who's going to die, who's going to live, could be so completely wrong that we have no idea what's going on. Because we didn't expect Tech to die last season, and we don't really know who to expect to die this season. Honestly, we don't think any of them are going to come out alive because they aren't in anything else. That's what's cool about The Mandalorian. That's what's cool about the Bad Batch at this time, is all these characters. From the Bad Batch, all the members, to the Mandalorian with Din Djarin, Grogu, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Bo-Katan, the Mandalorians, all of them could die. There is nothing holding them in the story of Star Wars because they're not in the sequel trilogy. They're not in anything else. So they could die very, very easily, and it would make sense to the story. So that's the same thing that's going on with the Bad Batch, because any of them could die in this third season, and it would make sense. Also, a lot of explanation would have to go into if they do survive. Yeah. Zap says, I really don't keep up with the minute details. All I know is that Major Jedi survived Order 66 and was on that wall with Obi-Wan. Yes. Quinlan Voss you're talking about. Yeah. What about if the Darksiders heavily used the dark side is like a drug, though? I don't think it is, though, because the dark side of the Force is just like the light side. It's too similar where it shouldn't hurt the person's being. Now, maybe trying to do stuff with like cloning and all this stuff, maybe that does affect your body. But I think using the dark side of the Force does not affect the physical form of these Sith Lords. No. Fearless says, if that is the case, maybe she ages very slowly. A perfect vessel of Palpatine who wants to be immortal. No, she just ages normally. And the Bad Batch members' age is accelerated because of the cloning acceleration. Ian says, surely Shakti should have sensed Omega's Force potential. Shakti. Oh, the Jedi who went to Kamino. Was Shakti and... Wait, what? Does Shakti ever meet Omega? And honestly, no, she probably wouldn't have sensed it. That's not really how they sense these things. I mean, maybe she could have, but I don't think she did. Does Shakti meet Omega? I don't think she does. I don't think she does. Like, Grogu is older than he looks. Well, that's because Grogu's a different species. Grogu's aging is different because he's a different species. Yoda lives up to 900 years old. Grogu's going to live up to 900 years old. The human species lives up to only 70, 80 years old. So it's a different species, different aging. I really hope Hunter survives. All the cute bonding between him and Omega melts me and my friends' hearts. That's what would make his death even more meaningful. And that's why I do think he will die. Yeah. I think his death is likely because of how meaningful their relationship is. And that's kind of what's going to hurt the most. You know? Yeah, no? Zap says, do you think that it is a safe bet that Grogu will show up in the Bad Batch for a short time? I say yes. I don't think so. I think it could happen. I just don't think it's likely to happen. Yeah. I think it's a possibility, probably a low percentage, but it's definitely something that could happen. If it happens, I'm not going to be like, well, I'll be surprised. I'll be like, oh, sick, Grogu. But I won't be like, this is impossible, you know? Like, it's definitely possible. Yeah. I just don't think so. Fearless says, maybe it's not only Force sensitivity, but also immortality that they're trying to create with these clones. That's definitely possible, but I don't know. They can churn them out so quickly at very little cost that they don't really care if they live forever. They're cannon fodder. They're built to fight in a war. If they lived forever, they'd be wasting too much money on people that are just going to go die to blaster fire. Yeah. Officer Murdoch says, Mike, it was told in a story that Omega is older than Hunter and the others in the gang. She saw them grew up. Yeah, that's true. Actually, in season 2 or at the end of season 1, maybe. Yeah, that is told. You're right. Ellie, what's up? You're absolutely right. Yeah, she is older. Yes, but they still had accelerating growth. So that's why they look older. Disastrous, but so funny, what we are speculating. Also, Ahsoka is currently in another galaxy, so there's a lot more possibilities than dying. The one that died 15 times. What? Shakti died in a cutscene in Revenge of the Sith in different ways. Oh, she died 15 times. Poor Shakti. Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, so she didn't survive Order 66, so she probably never would have met Omega then. Yeah. Yoda Joe says, I'm seeing the groundwork for you and I having a amazing podcast. I believe we could talk first about Star Wars forever. If I finally find someone worthy of collaborating with. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? Because I think that might be the best bet for the podcast to merge our two favorite Star Wars characters in a podcast title. My favorite Star Wars character is probably right now Ahsoka. Probably. All right, so let's start up a new poll here. As 85% of you guys, the math is mathing. 85% of you guys think that at least one of the Bad Batch members will survive. Let's phrase this differently. Who will die? Let's go Hunter, Wrecker. Wait, actually, Hunter. Who I can only put, I think, 4 options. So let's use these wisely. Who should die? Who should survive? Who should die? Who should survive? Let's go Hunter. I guess we'll put Wrecker. We'll go Crosshair, of course. Crosshair. And then last, we need one more. One more. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Omega should be the last one. All right, fine. Most likely, you think Omega's gonna be most likely? We'll do Omega last, but I seriously don't think Omega will be. You think? She will live most likely. Okay, I get you. All right, those are your 4. Who's most likely to die in this 3rd season? Honestly, I think it's Crosshair, but close second is probably gonna be Hunter. Just because Hunter's so significant to the character arc of Omega that it's just gonna be more important for her moving down the line if Hunter dies. The same way I think Din Djarin's gonna die to help further develop Grogu's story, because Grogu's gonna live for hundreds more years and Din Djarin's not. So I think in this Mandoverse movie that we're gonna get eventually, you're gonna see the end of Din Djarin. Yeah. Who is my favorite Bad Batch character? Probably Wrecker. Probably. Ellie says, I think there's a 90 to 95% chance of a character dying at the end of this season, but some are bound to live. Yeah, I think some are. I think Omega's probably the most likely to live because of her importance, especially if she is Force sensitive. That would change the entire game, especially with her character. And she could go off with the Asajj Ventress, who again doesn't show up in anything else, and would make more sense that Omega doesn't show up in anything else. But if other members of the Bad Batch survive, like Hunter, who has a very strong bond and connection with like characters like Rex, then why he wouldn't be on that planet with Rex in Rebels wouldn't make any sense at all. Fearless says, yeah, but Mike, look at it. This isn't the whole cloning process now only for one thing, creating special clones and special abilities, especially for Palpatine. There's no soldiers anymore, so this is because there's no war. Well, there's always this war that Palpatine's trying to protect the galaxy. The beginning of the Bad Batch is like the war's supposed to be over, but now they're like keeping outposts on certain planets with the new stormtroopers and trying to get rid of the clones because they want an army at all times to keep control over the galaxy. So you do need an army. And that's why they're going from clones to the actual human beings in stormtroopers like we see in the original trilogy. But the cloning people at Camino want to keep their jobs, obviously, so they're trying to create special clones. That's only where the special clones come into play, is because the Kaminoans are trying to keep their jobs, pretty much, and trying to prove that clones can be more productive than just regular people that are trained. Yeah. Omega should live, most likely. I agree. Only a few million clones, unless they change that number. Well, a few million? That's quite a lot of clones. Millions of clones on the tiny Camino base. Skywalker Academy says, wouldn't it be ironic if Crosshair is the one left to take care of Omega? That would be ironic. I think Crosshair is the least likely to, because of his arc that he's just gone on so far. Season 2 for Crosshair is probably the most important of all the Bad Batch members, because he finally realized that the Empire is wrong. And he did it on his own accord, and now he's, of course, trapped on Mount Tantus. I definitely think we'll see the end of Crosshair's story, probably in some sort of sacrifice in that last episode when they're trying to save Omega from Mount Tantus. I wonder if he'll, try to blow up Mount Tantus while he's sacrificing himself. I really don't know, but he will sort of end his own story. Very similar to a Vader type arc, where he starts off as a good guy, goes bad guy, ends up sacrificing himself to save everybody. You know? I think Echo is going to die. He's the only one in the trailer, and he's only in it once. That's a weird thing, though, because remember in Season 2, Echo leaves the Bad Batch? Doesn't he go off with Rex and the others to try and help other clones that are, trying to escape the Empire? Doesn't Echo leave the Bad Batch? So it wouldn't really make too much sense that he's in the trailer that much, because he's not with the other members anymore. He left. So, I mean, it's possible that he comes in with the so-called cavalry that they're talking about in this 15th episode, but, I mean, he could be the connection to Cody. Everybody wants to see Cody come back. That would be pretty awesome. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Pop, the Bounty Hunter Collector? How's it going? You're talking about the specific transformation from Warrior clone to Palpatine cloning himself to find immortality. Yeah, they're very different things. Palpatine's always trying to clone to try to keep himself alive forever, but the clone army that they're creating is to win a war. And that's why they stop cloning, because they want to create a new army to protect the galaxy. Yeah. He comes back at the end. Who are you talking about? Crosshair? Echo. Echo comes back at the end. I think Echo will come back in the end to help save Omega, but I don't think he'll be too involved in this third season. He left the Bad Batch at the end of the last one, so it doesn't really make that much sense. Echo is with them at the end of Season 2. That's true, but he left them midway through the season. Just because he's back at the end to go on that last mission doesn't mean that he's going to stay with them. Also, there's a big time jump in this. If you go back to the trailer, where does he say that? He says, Omega's been waiting for us for a long time. Yeah, here it is. All right, let's go back to the trailer. This is what Hunter says. Or no. Yeah, Hunter says.
The kid. Secure her in a cell. Omega's been waiting for us a long time.
Yeah, so Hunter says Omega's been waiting for us for a long time. We don't know how much time has kind of gone by between these two seasons, Season 2 and Season 3. But it seems to be at least, I'd guess, a few months, if not a year or maybe even more. A long time in the galaxy is a long time. It's not like we're talking about a few weeks here. She's been waiting for a long time. And honestly, in this scene, it's possible that they've already gotten out Crosshair, because we assume that they get out Crosshair first. So it's possible that Crosshair's involved in this conversation here, that Omega's been waiting for us for a long time. But how long, we don't really know. We just don't. So it could be a very long time, and that would mean that Echo wouldn't necessarily be with them. It's possible that it could just be Hunter and Wrecker looking for them. Yeah. Yeah, I thought so, but I don't know what... That's what WP said? Who the hell's WP? Maybe that's Legends? Maybe. I have no idea what you're referring to. But yes, always. Um, Zap says, Mike, if I told you how many droids the CIS had, you'd think I was crazy. Wikipedia says they had millions of factories. WP, is that Wikipedia, I'm guessing? Says that the CIS has billions of battle droids. I mean, obviously it's easier to make droids than it is to clone human beings. So cloning Jango Fett was probably a little bit more difficult. And of course, a clone is going to be more productive than a droid. A droid can be killed pretty damn easily. But yes, I don't doubt that there were billions of droids, but the war is over again. All those droids are decommissioned and don't do anything anymore. So now there's no droids. Maybe Omega will sacrifice her life to save the other Bad Batch? Ooh. That'd be kind of interesting. But again, it wouldn't make too much sense because the Bad Batch aren't in anything else. They're just not in anything further down the line. They're not in Kenobi. They're not in... The place that they would show up if they did survive would be Rebels. When Rex and Gregor and Wolf are on that planet together, that's where they would be. They'd be hanging out with them. But that's not the case. They're not there. I was thinking trillions? Yeah, no thanks. You're probably reading a canon perspective. Wikipedia is what WP stands for. I got you. I figured it out. He was with them when Omega was kidnapped. Yeah, at the end of the season. That's what I'm saying. If a lot of time has passed between season 2 and season 3, it doesn't mean that Echo's going to just hang out with them the entire time. He probably goes back to what he was doing. My point was clones aren't fodder. Well, they were for the war. They were just designed to win the war. Win the war. Stormtroopers are fodder. Actually, I think the opposite. Stormtroopers are created to have an army to protect the galaxy. There's no war going on until the rebels rise years later. But the Stormtrooper army is created to protect the galaxy, not to extend a war because there is no war currently. Wow, right now Crosshair is the most likely to die in this poll, but he's only 54%. Second place is Hunter with 23%. Interesting. Interesting. Ellie says he could have split up with the rest of the Bad Batch to cover more ground so that they would have a higher chance of finding Omega. Yeah, I think Echo probably went back to what he was doing. He was trying to help other clones, and I think he might come into contact with Cody as well, because Cody goes AWOL in season 2, and we don't see him ever again. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Season 3 will give us a lot of answers to a lot of questions. And I think Cody's one of them. I think Asajj, Quinlan, Omega's one of them. And, of course, who will die? Do you guys think we'll see Vader in this season? A lot of people have been making jokes, myself included, of Vader coming in and slicing their heads off. It would be a little bit graphic, but we've seen it before in the Clone Wars with Darth Maul. With Palpatine being in the trailer, Tarkin being in season 1, would Vader be in season 3? Also, now let me throw this one out there. And I was actually going to make this like a full-on topic of Saturday stream, maybe. Would Thrawn be in season 3? Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, Grand Admiral Thrawn works for the Republic during the time of the Clone Wars. Then he works for the Empire, because we know in the canon novel, Thrawn Alliances, I think it is. It's one of them. It's a flashback between Thrawn's experience with Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars and Thrawn's experience with Darth Vader in the time of the Empire. So it's possible that we see Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Bad Batch season 3 on Mount Tantus, which would allow us to make the connection that Thrawn knows about Tantus. He was on Mount Tantus in the Bad Batch. He's probably going to go back in live action in the Mandalorian movie. It would actually make a lot of sense bringing Thrawn to Mount Tantus. Even if it's just one scene where they're like, Grand Admiral Thrawn, this is Mount Tantus, a cloning facility. You want to check it out? This has got to be like your future, buddy. And then further down the line, he comes back. Maggie says, I hope we see Vader. I do too. Ellie says, no. It would be a bit much for the Bad Batch. well, maybe Vader's not coming in guns blazing. Maybe Vader's just visiting Mount Tantus, or he heard about a attack on Mount Tantus, and Palpatine sent him to go stop it. Like, what if this 15th episode, so we know that there's a secret 16th episode looming on May the 4th. What if the 15th episode ends with the cavalry that is arriving is actually Vader, that Palpatine sent to stop the attack on Mount Tantus? And that's the cliffhanger for episode 15. And then they're like, oh yeah, there's a secret 16th episode on May the 4th, 3 days later. What if the big cliffhanger ending is Vader showing up on Mount Tantus? Because let's say Wrecker, Hunter, Crosshair, Echo, Rex, Wolf, Fennec Shand, maybe if they get her on board, Fee, Cody, whoever, their whole cavalry that is going to save Omega from Mount Tantus, they show up, they're attacking Mount Tantus, and then the reinforcements for the Empire is Vader. And he comes in and slices and dices. That would be insane. That would be insane. Let's see, where was I? I don't know if Palpatine wants Vader anywhere near one of his most valuable assets. Sith be killing Sith. That's true. He is always thinking about that. Maybe. But Vader goes to Exegol in Vader comics. So why wouldn't he go to Mount Tantus as well? Vader knows a lot more in the canon comics than we think. He goes on missions for Palpatine all the time. He knows about a lot of things that Palpatine does that are sketchy things, especially Exegol being one of the big ones. But Mount Tantus, if it is so important to Palpatine and it is being attacked by a group of rebels or ex-clones, wouldn't it make the most sense for him to send in his most powerful weapon in Darth Vader to go save the day? I don't know. I'm kind of liking this theory the more and more I talk about it. Skywalker Academy says, it's possible. He's supposed to leave Lothal and come back in that time frame. But I think, oh, you're talking about Thrawn. It's possible. He's supposed to leave Lothal and come back in that time frame. But I'm not sure he's even at Lothal yet. Yeah, no. So this is way before Rebels. So he's not even anywhere close to it. This is like 20 years before Rebels. Or maybe like 15, something like that. Years before Rebels. Like years and years. Over a decade. Well over a decade before Rebels. So Thrawn is going to be doing whatever the hell he wants. If he shows up on Mount Tantus, it will make sense. It will. Zap says, immortality or throwing these or throw these ARC troopers. What? I think that there are at the Bad Batch. What? I think that are there at the Bad Batch. I have no idea what that means. Ian says, I think Palpatine would keep Tantus a secret from Vader if Sheev is trying to clone himself. Again, Vader goes to Exegol in Vader comics, canon comics. So he knows all about Palpatine's cloning goals. That's why Vader has one of the holocrons, or what are they called? Not the holocrons, the Wayfinders. He has one of the Wayfinders to Exegol at his castle on Mustafar, at Vader's castle on Mustafar. He knows all about cloning. He knows everything that Palpatine is doing at all times. This is coming from canon in The Rise of Skywalker, but also in canon from comics. He's been to Exegol. So I don't think he's really keeping that secret too tightly. No, I don't. Ellie says, I would love to see Thrawn, but it's not likely, but still possible. I actually think it is likely to set up what's going to happen in The Mandalorian. If we see Thrawn in The Bad Batch Season 3 on Mount Tantus, it will make perfect sense for him to go back to Mount Tantus years later when he comes back as heir to the Empire in The Mandalorian. Zap says, Vader could potentially ruin that base. Palpatine doesn't want that. I don't know if Vader even knows about the base. We don't know if he does, but it would make the most sense if he's trying to save the base to send in him. Now, do we know when the Inquisitors come into play? When do these Inquisitors become a thing? Because they at least need some time to train with Vader and actually be able to hunt down Jedi. I just don't know when they go into play. When do these Inquisitors, is it not till like years later? Not too sure. Damn it, it just scrolled down to the bottom. Shnikes. Damn it, damn it, damn it. All right, here we go. They'd have to die, Mike. They would kill Omega if Vader shows up. I don't know. I'm not sure if Vader even knows about Tantus. Wasn't this top secret? Yeah, but so was Exegol. Guys, come on. The Inquisitors are active now? Really? This is like almost right after Order 66, right? Like a few months, if not a year or so after Order 66. Are they already active? I don't think so. Ellie says they came into play like 5 to 9 years after the Bad Batch. Well, there you go. So it's after. What? Years later. Yeah. Mike, both of you and me know that the comics don't matter to Lucasfilm and Disney. TV and movies over books and comics. That's true to an extent, Zap. They want to keep the legends. I mean, they want to keep the canon comics and novels and all that stuff. They want to keep that canon, or at least allow them to tell canon stories in those sources of media, because they want to continue selling that stuff. Video games are one of the biggest things. Like, they sell millions of dollars worth of video games, from the Jedi games to the Battlefront games, and those are canon stories. They want to continue to do that. Although there might not be many people left, but people are still reading those Star Wars comics that come out weekly. And they want to continue to keep those stories being canon, and it allows them to tell a story about Vader without having to create a live action version of that story that will cost a lot more money in Vader comics. But even novels, their newest era in the Star Wars timeline is the High Republic, and that's fully in Star Wars novels and comics. And they want to continue to tell canon stories in that media form without having to worry about canon being retconned all the time. Now, it has been retconned. Comics, novels, they've all been retconned in recent past. But they've been minor retcons, from Yoda's lightsaber being destroyed on Coruscant in a comic to Luke Skywalker having Yoda's lightsaber in the Book of Boba Fett. Asajj Ventress dies in Dark Disciple, but the death is kind of up in the air. And now they bring her back in the Book of Boba Fett, and they tell us that they will, the story that is told in the Dark Disciple novel will continue to be canon, and they will abide by the rules of that novel. So they are trying to keep the comics and novels canon. Officer Murdoch says, I got a bad feeling about this last episode.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to end in some deaths, for sure. Ellie says, I haven't been able to read any of the Legends books that surround Tantus, but I know a lot about them, and I've never heard of Vader knowing about Tantus. Again, that is Legends. So yes, maybe he doesn't know about them, but again, anything could happen in this third season. Skywalker Academy says Omega is about 10 to 13 in season 2. So we're getting close to Rebels time if she has been waiting a long time. She'd be only 19 years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Well, no, I'm not talking about it would be 10 to 15 years is a long time. I'm talking about like maybe a year is a long time for Omega to be waiting there, waiting for them. Not talking about Rebels time. Not that long. I mean, maybe it's a big time jump. I don't know. Ellie says, but he could be keeping Mount Tantus a secret, but allowing Exegol to be known to him. But why do that? Exegol seems to be the way more important of the cloning facilities for Palpatine. Also, is Mount Tantus going to be blown up at the end of this season? Because he does go to Exegol for cloning instead of Mount Tantus. So is he going to just shift? Like, is Tantus going to blow up and then he shifts all of his cloning efforts and facilities to Exegol to keep it more hidden from the rebellion or whatever? Like, I don't know. We're about to find out. We're about to find out. There are like 500 ARC troopers there. They're fine. 500 ARC troopers? Yeah, we see a lot of ARC troopers actually in the trailer. Yes, but as soon as they make a TV show or movie, they screw you over, meaning the people reading the canon books and comics. They will always pick the TV show or movie to be the true canon. That's true, but a lot of TV and movies have kept in line with the canon story that's being told in the novels and comics. Although there has been few minor retcons in recent past with Ahsoka and Kanan and the Yoda's lightsaber, a lot of the story actually shifts to keep the continuity of the canon in those novels. All right, let's dive into this Rey movie news now, okay? Let's dive into this Rey movie news. I'll leave this poll up for a while to see who you guys think is going to die the most. But let's dive into this Rey movie news. This is kind of crazy. Daisy Ridley is talking quite awesome about this Rey movie, and I don't really know if I believe her. But let's... Oh, and by the way, guys, the Charmin obaid-chinoy firing rumors that have been going around are not true. They're just not. They're rumors coming from Mike Zero, I think. So they're definitely not true. But yeah, don't believe them until you actually see somebody reliable, or even myself see somebody reliable talking about it. I won't talk about it. It's just not true. It's not true for now. Hang on. What did you say, Zeb? As soon as they make a TV show or a movie, the director of the show or showrunner or scriptwriter makes the new canon, though it will eventually occur. Yes. Didn't mention that, Mike. Oh, don't mention that, man, Mike. Oh, sorry. My fault. Ellie says, it was most likely that Omega has been waiting around 1 to 2 years, considering that her hair has grown out. So kind of a long time. That is a long time. 1 to 2 years in between season 2 and season 3 is a long time. That would be wild. Yeah. All right, let's dive into this Rey news. This first article is coming from Star Wars Newsnet. Let's read this one first. So this, hang on. That's better. Okay. Daisy Ridley excited to work with Charmin obaid-chinoy based on her documentaries and her Star Wars pitch. So this is what she had to say. With Daisy Ridley out promoting for her new indie film, Sometimes I Think About Dying, it is inevitable that questions about Star Wars would come up. The actress was confirmed last year to be reprising the role of Rey Skywalker in the future film from director Charmin obaid-chinoy and writer Stephen Knight. That will take place 15 years after Rise of Skywalker in a new era dubbed the New Jedi Order. Ridley was asked by Variety how she thinks the first female director in the franchise will leave an impact on Star Wars, to which she replied with the following statement. And a short answer is, I don't know. I'm excited to do the job, but not because Charmin is a woman. Her documentaries are amazing. Her idea for the story is cool as shit. No spoilers, but she gave me a rundown for the entire story. If it weren't amazing, I would have been like, okay, call me in 5 years. But it's worthwhile. This is very interesting. Daisy Ridley is an actress who knows how to talk to the fans. We've talked about how this director, Charmin, has no idea how to talk to the fans, and they need a PR team behind her. She knows how to talk to the fans. This is what she said. My short answer is I don't know. Okay, fine. I'm excited to do the job. Great. But not because Charmin is a woman. Fantastic. Because it has nothing to do with that. Yes, she is the first female director of a Star Wars movie, and that's fantastic, but it has nothing to do with the ability of making a good Star Wars movie. This does. Her documentaries are amazing. Boom. Perfect. But more importantly, her idea for the story is cool as shit. That's all we wanted to hear. That's really all we wanted to hear. And if Charmin said that on the first of the year, instead of what she did say, we would be having a completely different conversation here. But Daisy saves her ass and says this. Her idea for the story is cool as shit. No spoilers, but this is actually even more important. She gave me the rundown for the entire story. If it weren't amazing, I would have been like, okay, call me in 5 years. So if it weren't amazing, if it weren't cool as shit, as the cool kids like to say, then she would have been like, call me in 5 years. I don't care. Call me in 5 years. This is stupid. Why would I want to come back to this after what happened with the sequel trilogy? I don't want to do this. So this story must be pretty damn cool. Because she got a lot of backlash for her role as Rey in the sequel trilogy. She got a ton of backlash. So this story has to be amazing for her to want to come back to that. Amazing. And this is promising. This is very promising. I do get excited by Daisy Ridley saying stuff like this because it allows us to actually hear the actress who knows the story get excited. She's excited. I'm excited. This is the three of them at Star Wars Celebration. It's not the first time she's hyped up the pitch for the film. But that's about all that we have for now. Plot details are kept tightly under wraps, which makes sense considering that the script isn't even done yet. However, so far we don't have any news on other returning actors from the sequel trilogy. Adam Driver has pretty much said that he won't be back. And honestly, I don't believe this for 1 second, but which prompted the trades to ask if it would be weird to go back to the galaxy far, far away without her former co-stars, to which Ridley said this. No, because I don't know what is what or who is who in this new movie. So much has happened for me since the Skywalker saga. I feel like I've grown up now. When I first started, I was like 20. When she first started acting in The Force Awakens, she was like 20. I was the youngest on the set. It took me the first 2 Star Wars films to really feel like I was worthy of being there. Now I'm in my 30s. The whole thing feels quite different. I've been able to work with other filmmakers, and hopefully I've got better as a performer. Now, honestly, I think that her performance in the sequel trilogy is actually really, really good. She's a very good actress. It has nothing to do with the character arc that she went on, but her performance was good. She completely ignores the question. The question is, the question was, is it weird going back to the galaxy far, far away without former co-stars? She does say no, so she technically answers the question, but she avoids the rest of the question, which is, are these former co-stars coming back? And she goes completely in a different way. She talks about being grown up now since the last time she was in Star Wars, all this other stuff. She doesn't really mention whether or not John Boyega will be back. Adam Driver will be back. Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac will be back. Those questions she just sort of ignored. What's up, Billy? How we doing? So, I don't know. It's very interesting. I think we will be seeing John Boyega at least as Finn to come back, if not Adam Driver as well. But we'll see. Did the first sentence in that answer leave the door open for possible returns? Perhaps Oscar Isaac or John Boyega? Maybe yes, but maybe not. But since the script isn't complete yet, anything could happen at this point. Very true. Regardless, work is progressing as expected on the film, with writer Stephen Knight actively working on his new draft. Will they be able to get this thing in production before the end of this year? It certainly seems to be the plan. Lucasfilm hasn't made any promises, though, except for the fact that The Mandalorian and Grogu will be the next movie to go in front of the cameras. Daisy Ridley's Sometimes I Think About Dying opens in U.S. theaters this Friday. Stay tuned for updates on her Star Wars film. So her new indie film comes out this Friday, if anybody's wondering. So that's pretty interesting. That is good news. This right here is great news. How excited she is for this movie. The fact that she wouldn't have come back unless it was good enough story is fantastic news. I mean, it's what fans wanted to hear. It's reassurance that this movie is going to be good, not more conflict and contradictory things that fans can argue about. This is straight to the point. This movie's going to be good. I only came back because it is going to be good, and that's what we're talking about here. So that's good news. It's great news. It's all we wanted to hear as Star Wars fans, honestly, is that this movie is going to be good. That's all you have to tell us. That's it. Maybe tease out some plot details here or there as we go further along in production, but just keep us happy. That's all we want. But I do want to talk about this one other... oh, wait, no, we already talked about that. We'll get into that in a second. What do you guys think about this Rey news? What do you think about what Daisy Ridley said? Does this get you more excited? Are you more likely to go watch this movie, or were you already going to go watch this movie? Or do you still say, no, I'm definitely not going to watch this movie? What do we think about the Rey movie? Let me see. Where were we at here? I got lost in the chat. No. Oh, here we go. I found it. Fearless says, I think that what Vader did to the Force sensitives he hunted down. Wait, I think that's what Vader did to the Force sensitives he hunted down. He turned them to the dark side and trained them to become Inquisitors. That the ones that didn't want to get killed. The Inquisitors are explained, I believe. I don't know where they're explained. Maybe it's in comics, maybe not. I'm not too sure. But they do get trained by Vader. But they are, like, immediately after Order 66, they get recruited. It's not until, like, years later when they get shown to the galaxy and hunt down Jedi, because they have to be trained first by Vader. So they get trained first, and then they start to hunt down the Jedi. Star Wars Academy says, I have to give him credit. He sticks with Star Wars no matter how much he hates it. He is a fan. He. I don't know who you're referring to in this. He sticks with Star Wars no matter how much he hates it. He is a fan. Who are you talking about? Oh, Mike Zero. Okay, never mind. I figured it out. I guess so. Fearless says, I don't know where Inquisitors came from. I've always wondered. Well, they're all from different places. Like, the Grand Inquisitor was a temple guard at the Jedi Temple, but the others come from different places. Wasn't Charmine's documentary about oppression of women in Pakistan? Yes, it was. So it doesn't really have much to do with Star Wars or give her any experience with Star Wars, but that's okay, I guess, for now. I wish she had experience with Star Wars, but I guess we're not going to get that. Anthony says, Mike, Daisy gets serious points for negating the Force is female thing. That's truly disturbing. She mentions that the film is Charmine's idea. No way, Jose. Well, I think Charmine told her the idea for the movie. I think Charmine and Kathleen Kennedy probably came up with the idea themselves, maybe with some other writers in the room. I don't know. Maybe Dave Filoni was involved. I don't know. But yes, I think there was an idea first created by Charmine and probably Kathleen and probably some other higher-ups at Lucasfilm, and then they went to Stephen Knight with the pitch. Well, first they went to Damon Lindelof, and then they went to Stephen Knight with the pitch for this new idea. Yeah. Can I get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Dun dun! Guys, I never mentioned this on stream, and I know I should, but I always forget. But if you want to become a member, best way to support the channel, we are doing a giveaway, I believe this Saturday, if not next Tuesday. So you get instant access to that giveaway. If you become a member, it's only 99 cents. And the next giveaway is coming up over the course of the next 2 streams. We are also going to start doing some call-ins, probably on Saturday streams, I think. And if you're a member, you can do call-ins as well through the members-only portion of the Discord. So becoming a member is only 99 cents. It's probably the best way to support the channel, is becoming a member. The second best way would be to just watch and, of course, like the video and stuff. And I know not everybody has money to be a member, but, you know, it's the best way to support the channel. Only 99 cents. Become a member. The link is in the description below. Yeah. Giveaway coming up very, very soon for those members. All right. Fearless says, but I like the Inquisitors. They're cool. Yeah, Inquisitors were always a very cool Disney idea. Yeah. They were always a cool introduction. Like, a lot of people say Disney ruined Star Wars, blah, 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 blah. They've come up with some pretty damn cool things, and Inquisitors is definitely one of them. Zap says, aren't they just Force sensitives that were young Jedi and young Force sensitives? They were, yes. Some of them were Jedi. Some of them were just Force sensitives. They weren't all, like, together before. They were all brought in, you know, after. What's up, Billy? Officer Murdoch says, it sounds like Daisy Ridley's Rey will be more like just a minor character in the new Jedi Order movie. I think she'll be a main character, but I don't know if she'll be the main character. I think she'll be, of course, running the Jedi Temple, but it might focus more on her younglings at the Jedi Temple than her. But you never know. She could be the main character. Yeah. She'll be the main character for now on in the Star Wars timeline. I don't think so. She'll be a main character, but not the main character. Anthony says, "Yup, trained to be Jedi hunters, not necessarily Sith lords. What I want to see, starting in the Bad Batch, is the Emperor's Shadow Guard. Force sensitives turned into non-speaking killing machines. Ooh, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty damn cool. Oh, I just scrolled down to the bottom. No. Oh, here we go. Officer Murdoch says, Adam Driver said he would not return as Kylo, but he did not say he would not return as Ben Solo. That's true if you want to take his words that specifically, but I actually think he'll just return because he's just going to return. I don't think he's going to tell us, I'm returning, because that would spoil the whole reveal. I think he obviously said that he's not returning because he was forced into saying that, at the time at least. Yeah. Fearless says, I think so. If I remember right, and they were young, and they were younglings, Starkiller trying to save him, and Vader took him in. Well, yeah, Starkiller's not canon, though. Yeah. No. Skywalker Academy says, I'm going to see Daisy's film to support her. I'm definitely going to go see the movie. Obviously, it's a Star Wars movie. I'm going to go see the movie. But I'm holding out hope that it's going to be really, really good. I am. I still am. For sure. Ellie says, I'm going to see how it is before I see it. Wait, I'm going to see how it is before I see it in the theaters. If it's not good, I'll wait until it's out on Disney+. Well, how are you going to see how it is? Oh, in the theaters. You're going to see how it is in the theaters. I get you. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go see how it is in the theaters as well. And then if it is good, I'll go rewatch it 1,000,000 times. That's how Star Wars movies work. Yeah. Anthony says, haven't been able to read about the others. About the Inquisitors. But I want to see them with the extended universe character of Ezekiel, something like that, being among its exclusive group, a dark warrior to be seen in the Mandoverse, hopefully. Yeah, I doubt it. Good cups, follow orders. Thanks, guys. Officer Murdoch says, I'm going to see every Star Wars film. Is it going to be good? If it's going to be good, I'll watch it twice. Yeah, so I'm obviously going to go watch the Rey movie in theaters, but it's whether or not I see it multiple times is how good it is. Yeah, we'll have to make our own judgments on this whole thing, you know? Yoda Joe says, I'm still on the fence about the Rey movie, but I'm going to see it because I feel like it's important as a content creator to go see it. Yeah, I just really hope it's good. I hold out hope that it will be good, for sure. Zap says, can you imagine how much they would have to pay Adam Driver? Probably a good amount, but it depends on how big his role is in the movie, I guess. Because, I mean, Daisy Ridley's getting paid $13 million. How much is Adam Driver going to be made? It depends on how big of a role he has, I guess. Ellie says, where do you think that Ezra will appear next? Ezra, ooh, that's a good question. Probably Ahsoka Season 2, I would guess. Maybe, man. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, probably Ahsoka Season 2. I don't see him being in Skeleton Crew unless it's like a last-minute appearance type thing. Probably Ahsoka Season 2. I think Ahsoka Season 2 will involve the main galaxy as well. It won't just be Peridia. So, hopefully there. Yeah. Hopefully. Hopefully. All right, let's talk about this. This came out from Screen Rant today, I believe. Yeah, 2 hours ago. Or a few hours ago. Star Wars original Ahsoka plan hints at the very origins of the Force. So Ahsoka at one point almost had to do with the origins of the Force. We've talked about this Dawn of the Jedi movie being connected to the Rey movie a little bit, but now it could be connected to the Ahsoka show as well. Because at one point, Star Wars original plan for Ahsoka was to hint at the very origins of the Force. So let's read this. Lucasfilm Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni originally had a much different plan for Anakin Skywalker's former Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, and it suggests that Ahsoka's light side of the Force connection might be even stronger than Star Wars has shown thus far. Ahsoka was introduced in the Star Wars The Clone Wars movie as Anakin's Padawan, which came as a surprise after the prequel trilogy made no mention of her. Despite the late addition, Ahsoka's popularity exploded throughout her appearance in the Clone Wars series, and she became even more important throughout the Star Wars timeline. That importance, though, is only growing still now because, of course, the Ahsoka series. Ahsoka has gone on to appear in Star Wars Rebels, The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and now in her own TV series, Ahsoka. While her story experienced significant turbulence after Ahsoka left the Jedi Order, leaving her result in the fact that she was not a Jedi. Ahsoka saw her complete her training. Ahsoka Show saw her complete her training with her former master in Star Wars The World Between Worlds. Now a Jedi, Ahsoka the White, it seems Ahsoka's very distant past may inform her future, possibly concluding with Ahsoka becoming the light side of the Force itself. So we've talked about this before. If Anakin died and became the father, does that mean when Ahsoka dies she'll become the daughter, or is she the daughter already? This is what this article goes into here. Dave Filoni's Ashla plan explained. So this is, of course, just Ahsoka in a bunch of different ways. It seems that fans almost got to see Ahsoka several years earlier than her debut in the Clone Wars movie, which was only the beginning of Ahsoka's Ashla connection. Dave Filoni considered using the Togruta girl who appeared in the in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, whose name was Ashla, as Ahsoka herself in a retcon. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Dave Filoni explained this in more depth. So let's pull up who Ashla is. Ashla. This is Ashla from the Clone Wars here. From Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It's not going to show the picture? What the heck? That's why I clicked on you. All right, images. This is Ashla. So clearly she doesn't look too much like Ahsoka. She is Togruta, but she doesn't really look like Ahsoka. Let's go full screen. There you go. That's a better look. So she was in Attack of the Clones in the sequence where Obi-Wan comes in and Yoda goes, Master Kenobi has seemed to lost a planet. Ha 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 ha. And they all point and laugh at him. This is that girl. So Dave Filoni at one point wanted to make a retcon to make that character Ahsoka Tano. So here we go. We called her Ashla in the beginning. That was 2005, and that worked on several levels for me. I think it was the name given to one of the youngling Jedis Yoda was training in Attack of the Clones. There was a young little Togruta girl. We kicked around the idea that maybe that was Ahsoka, but then we thought the age didn't really work out for it to be the same character. She was too young in the film. So this character was too young in the film to be Ahsoka, because Ahsoka would have grown up too quickly. But at some point, this was an idea. It makes sense that Filoni ultimately decided against retconning the girl to be Ahsoka because of her age, although the Clone Wars timeline has yet to be precisely confirmed in relation to Attack of the Clones. Is estimated to be only a few months after the events of the film. Ashla in the movie is certainly not close to 14, the age Ahsoka is when she becomes Anakin's Padawan. However, this establishes that from the beginning, Ahsoka and Ashla were intertwined. Ashla's light side origin explained. So, the name only acquires more meaning in the Star Wars franchise from there. Ashla, in part, comes from the name of one of two moons, Ashla and Bogan, of the planet Tython. So Tython is the original planet of the Jedi, the original Force users, and there was two moons around that planet, Ashla and Bogan. And Bogan was where all the Sith went when they divided into the Jedi and the Sith. Each one symbolizes a side of the Force, Ashla being the light and Bogan being the dark, while the origins of the moon and the moons and the planet were initially relegated to legends, along with their link to the precursor to the Jedi called the Jedi. The planet appeared in The Mandalorian Season 2, canonizing its existence. So Tython was, of course, where they went to the Seeing Stone in Mando Season 2. This connection, seemingly embodying the light side of the Force itself, is further supported by one of many names of the Force. The Lasat people used the name Ashla for the Force. So the Lasat, who of course is Zeb Orrelios in the Star Wars Rebels, used the name Ashla for the Force itself, which translates to the spirit of the galaxy, which makes sense. This only makes it all the more interesting that Ahsoka chose the name for herself when in hiding during both the canon Tales of the Jedi series and now in the non-canon canon novel Ahsoka. So yeah, she chose the name. While she may not have drawn a connection between the name of the Jedi youngling and her alias, she likely knew of both the moons and the moniker of the Force. So Ahsoka in Tales of the Jedi, we see that, used the name Ashla, but in the now non-canon novel, Ahsoka, she also uses the alias of Ashla while she's in hiding, so that they don't know that it's her name. But it's interesting that she uses that name because that is the name for the light side of the Force, or the moon around the planet that is the light side of the Force. It's also what the Lasat people call the Force itself, or the spirit of the galaxy. This is particularly interesting, given that Ahsoka was decidedly not a Jedi at the time. So she took the name Ashla when she wasn't a Jedi. This is in Tales of the Jedi after she's already left the Order. And her connection to the Force was strained at best. She didn't feel comfortable using the Force, as that would put her at risk of being discovered by the Imperial Inquisitors. This only further complicated her choice of the name, though the Inquisitors were also Force wielders and may well have been just as aware of the history of the name, given that it seems that at minimum, Ahsoka wasn't very good at hiding that she was Force sensitive. And that was, of course, in Tales of the Jedi. So, does Star Wars' original name hint at Dave Filoni's Ahsoka plans? So this is going now to the Ahsoka show itself. Although, in addition, after the prequel trilogy, Ahsoka has proven extremely important to the Star Wars. In fact, George Lucas himself wanted Anakin Skywalker to have a Padawan. Ahsoka seems set to become even more critical in the Star Wars galaxy, though that has begun with a storyline in the Clone Wars where Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin, and Ahsoka end up stranded on an odd planet, Mortis, with little memory of what came before the crash. On the planet, they encountered the Mortis gods, the Father, the Son, and the Daughter, who ended up signifying the balance, the dark side, and the light side of the Force. Ahsoka killed by the sun. Ahsoka was killed by the sun. One of two deaths that Ahsoka's had so far. This is brought back to life by the Daughter, who transferred her life force into Ahsoka. Anakin, of course, does this in the Clone Wars. This represents the fascinating possibility that Ahsoka will become an avatar for the light side of the Force. This is why Morai is always around her, essentially embodying the Force itself. If that's the case, the name Ashla would make all the more sense. Ashla, the name for the Force itself in Lasat culture, and the name of the Tython light side moon, is the alias Ahsoka dons in Tales of the Jedi and in the Ahsoka novel, and was at one point the character's name in early development. All of this could very well mean that Ahsoka Season 2 or another future Star Wars appearance could see Ahsoka merge with the Force itself. This would be a beautiful and in many ways perfect arc for Ahsoka Tano, who has long represented the true nature of a Jedi, even though she left the Jedi Order. So this is actually pretty cool. Ahsoka has always kind of been the light side of the Force since she went to Mount Tantus. What's up, Jay? How we doing? And she was embodied by the daughter. And we've seen Morai around her. She's now, of course, Ahsoka the White after what she did with Anakin in The World Between Worlds. She really has embodied what is the light side of the Force, with the white lightsabers, and of course, leaving the Jedi Order because she saw the corruption in the Jedi and saw that they weren't really the light side of the Force. They weren't the Jedi way that they should have been. So she is kind of the embodiment of the light side, of the Jedi. And it would make the most sense that when she does eventually die, that she becomes the daughter or the living embodiment of the light side of the Force, right alongside of Anakin, who is supposed to be the balance of the Force as well. It's also very cool to make that connection that Ashla, which is the light side moon of Tython, which is the origins of the Jedi, that was almost the name for Ahsoka. It was also the name of a youngling at the Jedi Temple, but also the alias that she uses in Tales of the Jedi. So there's a lot of connections there that are really, really cool, for sure. Yeah. What's up, Dominic? How we doing? All right. Let me scroll back up and catch up on some chats here. Fearless says, I want to see Ezra meet Jason Syndulla for real. Yeah, I really hope that Ezra does start to train Jason. I think that's probably where they left off in Ahsoka Season 2. Yeah. Maggie says, I don't know if I want to go see the Rey movie. I became a fan after The Rise of Skywalker, and I wanted the first movie to see into theaters to be a good one. Ooh, interesting. That is quite the predicament. Well, maybe you'll have to see if it is a good one first by just a critic review or other people that you respect's opinions, their review of the movie, on whether or not you should make it your first Star Wars movie to see in the theaters. That is a big goal. Big accomplishment. Anthony says, my guess, Season 2 of Ahsoka will pretty much follow through on Lucas's concept of a bigger truth and discoveries of the Force with the Mortis gods and, of course, Peridia. Yeah, I think it will. Season 2 will, of course, focus a lot on that, on the Force itself, on the Mortis gods, all that other stuff. I'm doing good, Jay. How are you? We're almost 2 hours. What? 2 hours? How long did we talk about the Bad Batch for? Wow. Sometimes, guys, we just lose time, you know? We just forget. I feel like I could talk about Star Wars for 24 hours if I didn't lose my voice. That's the only issue I have. This big-ass cup doesn't give me enough water to keep my voice. All right. Where was I? Ellie says, so if even the Force has origins, does that mean God exists even in the Star Wars universe? I don't know. There's like gods in the Star Wars universe, like the Mortis gods. But the Force itself has an origin, but that doesn't mean that before the Force existed, the Force wasn't around. You know, before the Jedi and the Sith existed, then it wasn't around. So let's put it this way. Tython is 25,000 years ago. Force users around the galaxy get picked up and brought to Tython. And that's where the Jedi and the Sith originate from. But that was 25,000 years ago. Before 25,000 years ago, there was still Force sensitives and Force wielders, but they weren't Jedi. They weren't Sith. They weren't wielding the Force. They weren't training to wield the Force. People only started to train to use the Force 25,000 years ago on Tython. But before that, there was still the Force itself. The Force was still in everybody, you know? If that makes sense. Fearless says, I won't say anything about Rise of Skywalker. Mike, you know my opinions on that one. Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's your favorite Star Wars movie, of course. Just kidding. Ellie says, so the Force created all living things in the Star Wars universe. But if the Force has origins, does that mean that there's even a higher power than the Force? No. So the Force doesn't have origin itself. The Jedi have the origin. If that makes sense. So the Force has always been around, but the Jedi themselves have the origins of 25,000 years ago. The Force has always been around in Star Wars. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, we've only been on the Rey movie for about 30 minutes. Well, now we're past the Rey movie. We're on Ahsoka. But yeah. That's crazy. So we talked about the Bad Batch for like an hour and a half. That was wild. I didn't think we were actually going to spend that much time on it. I wanted to. I'm hyped for the Bad Batch, but I did not expect that at all. That's wild. That is wild. I'm actually going to end this poll. 50% of you guys, at least if the math is mathing, 50% of you guys think that Crosshair is the most likely to die. Second place is Hunter with 27%. Third place is 18% with Wrecker and 4% Omega. 4% of you think Omega's going to die. That's like talking about the Big Bang Theory. We don't really know that much about it. And there's always new information coming up. Yeah, kind of. Like, they're never going to tell us the origins of the galaxy far, far away or the origins of the Force itself. That's just not a conversation that will be had. Some things like to remain a mystery in Star Wars, and that will be one of them, of course. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Actually, one more thing before we get on out of here. This was actually pretty cool. There's a new Star Wars comic. I know we like to talk about comics here. That's revolving Darth Maul. Darth Maul's story continues. We haven't seen Darth Maul since Star Wars Rebels, since he died in Star Wars Rebels. But this is, of course, going to be a prequel to that, and it's a Star Wars comic. So let's go over this real quick. So that's a pretty damn cool piece of art right there. Palpatine standing over Maul. Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red miniseries announced by Marvel. Marvel is just a comic. It's not like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the comics. Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red has been revealed by Marvel. Coming this April. So this April. The 4-issue miniseries, it's only a miniseries, will be in the same vein as last year's Darth Vader, Black, White, and Red series. I actually didn't read that, but that's kind of cool. So, this is just a little background of what's going on here. Issue 1, written by Benjamin Pierce and illustrated by Stefano whatever, arrives April 25th and finds Darth Maul dispatched by Palpatine to investigate a prison ship that goes offline. The vessel, however, is transporting a group known as the Final Oculation, and horrors await. StarWars.com caught up with Percy to discuss all things Maul and this new enemy, and offers a first look at the issue cover. At last we reveal ourselves to the Jedi. He'll have to deal with the final oculation first. So this is what happens before the Phantom Menace. So this is going to be pretty cool. I mean, the covers look pretty damn cool. These are different variants of the front cover of the book here, but it will happen before the Phantom Menace. We will see Palpatine and Maul, and he'll dispatch him to this new threat that will be pretty cool, and he'll probably take care of. But it's a horror comic, at least, or there's horrors that await him, at least I should say. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Then he just goes on to talk about what it's like to work on Star Wars, but that is pretty cool. I mean, I don't really read much Star Wars comics anymore. I've read certain issues that, of course, have existed for a long time, but that one might have to go check that one out. It's only 4 issues, and it's only a mini series, so that might be something cool. The Black, White, and Red comics are so good. I might have to check them out. That Vader one sounds cool as well. All right, I think that's it. I think we're going to get on out of here unless you guys have something else you want to put in very last minute here. This was a great stream. I mean, the Bad Batch is, only like, I don't know, less than 30 days away. Less than 30 days away would be absolutely incredible. So I can't wait for this 3rd season. So much mystery around all these characters. Who's going to live? Who's going to die? Is Omega Force sensitive? Watch out for that video. That will probably come out this weekend, I think. I'm not going to have enough time to finish it by tomorrow. So watch out for that this weekend. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be a fun video to make as well. We got a lot done today with helping me out on that video because Omega is definitely Force sensitive in my own head. It's like 99.999% sure. All the stuff that points to it in the 1st season and the 2nd season of the Bad Batch is so telling. Just her sensing people before they arrive, her experience with Gungi, her being able to do stuff like shoot very accurately without ever picking up a blaster. That's very similar to Luke shooting womp rats on Tatooine and being able to shoot the Death Star down. Like, that stuff really makes me think that she's Force sensitive. And I think there's a lot that could go into this with Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos in the future of Omega's story after after the Bad Batch Season 3. So, watch out for that video. Watch out for, of course, shorts every day at 5 o'clock and all that other stuff. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to get on out of here. Hang on. Officer Murdoch says, Ben Solo is listed in a Star Wars book as a Jedi who converts to the light side and is deceased. Whatever that means. I think it means he converted back to the light side and died. Yeah. All right. Much love to all you guys. I appreciate you all being here. I'm going to get on out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Smash a like on this video if you haven't. How many likes we got on this? I haven't checked all stream. If we have less than 1 like, I'm going to be so mad. Okay, we got more than 1 like. Okay. You guys are the absolute best. Smash a like on this video if you haven't already. Hit subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. And may the Force be with you. Always. That's the wrong button, damn it. Oh yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate all of you. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.